Welcome to Echoes Untold, where we delve into the darkest corners of history, unearthing stories that still echo through time. Tonight, we travel to the rural heart of Pennsylvania, deep within the wooded hills of York County, to a place called Rehmeyer's Hollow. It was here, in 1928, that old-world superstition and deep-seated fear led to one of the most bizarre and brutal murders in American history. A crime fueled by the belief in hexes, curses, and supernatural forces. This is the chilling tale of the Hex Hollow Murder. Echoes Untold, where history whispers and we listen. To understand the Hex Hollow Murder, we first need to step back in time and immerse ourselves in the unique culture of Pennsylvania's rural communities in the early 20th century. The region was home to a large population of Pennsylvania Dutch, descendants of German immigrants who had settled there in the 18th and 19th centuries. These people brought with them not only their language and traditions, but also a unique spiritual practice known as Pow-wow or braucherei. Pow-wow was a blend of Christian faith and folk magic, consisting of prayers, charms, and rituals meant to heal ailments, protect against evil, and bring good fortune. Many locals relied on Pow-wow practitioners, sometimes called hex doctors, for treating illnesses, finding lost items, or ensuring a good harvest. But just as there were healers, there were also fears of hexes, malevolent spells cast to bring misfortune. A person who suffered from unexplained bad luck, sickness, or financial trouble might believe they had been hexed. And in a world where such fears were deeply ingrained, accusations could turn deadly. This was the world in which Nelson Rehmeyer lived. Nelson Rehmeyer was a 60-year-old farmer and herbal healer living in Rehmeyer's Hollow, a secluded part of the York County countryside. He was known as a powwow practitioner, using traditional remedies and charms to help those in his community. However, some whispered that his abilities extended beyond healing, that he could cast spells just as easily as he could break them. Whether Rehmeyer actually engaged in darker practices is unknown, but in 1928, one man became convinced that Rehmeyer had hexed him. That man was John Blymire. John Blymire was a 32-year-old man who had grown up immersed in the traditions of powwow. He had studied under local practitioners and was well-versed in the art of healing charms. However, despite his knowledge of protective spells, he believed he had been cursed. For years, Blymire suffered from a series of misfortunes: poor health, financial ruin, and persistent bad luck. No matter what he did, his life continued to spiral downward. He sought the guidance of multiple powwow doctors, hoping to break the spell. Finally, a local seer confirmed his worst fears. He was the victim of a hex, and the man responsible, the seer told him, was Nelson Rehmeyer. Terrified and desperate, Blymire became obsessed with the idea that Rehmeyer's magic was the cause of his suffering. He was convinced that the only way to lift the curse was to confront Rehmeyer directly. He needed to take a lock of Rehmeyer's hair and burn his copy of The Long-Lost Friend, a well-known book of powwow charms. But Blymire wasn't willing to face Rehmeyer alone. Blymire enlisted the help of two younger men, John Curry, a boy from a troubled home, and Wilbert Hess, a farmhand who was easily swayed. Together, the three men formed a plan. On the night of November 27, 1928, they set out for Rehmeyer's Hollow, determined to break the hex once and for all. When they arrived at Rehmeyer's farmhouse, he was alone. Though initially wary of their visit, Rehmeyer, known for his hospitality, allowed them inside. At first, the conversation was civil. But as the night wore on, tensions rose. Blymire accused Rehmeyer of placing a hex on him and demanded that he hand over his book and allow them to cut a lock of his hair. Rehmeyer refused, dismissing their fears as nonsense. That refusal sealed his fate. In a frenzied attack, the three men set upon Rehmeyer. They beat him, strangled him, and, in the final act of brutality, left him for dead. But their paranoia did not end there. Fearing that his body could still hold magical power, they set the farmhouse on fire, believing the flames would destroy any lingering hexes. However, the fire did not spread as they had hoped. The house remained mostly intact, and it wasn't long before authorities uncovered the crime. The murder shocked the rural Pennsylvania community and quickly became a national sensation. Newspapers sensationalized the case, dubbing it the Hex Hollow Murder. The idea that a belief in witchcraft had led to such a gruesome crime captivated the public's imagination. Blymire, Hess, and Curry were all arrested and charged with murder. During the trial, their defense leaned heavily on the argument that they sincerely believed they were breaking a curse rather than committing a crime. The courtroom was filled with testimony about spells, supernatural fears, and powwow traditions. In the end, the jury rejected their defense. John Blymire and Wilbert Hess were both sentenced to life in prison. John Curry, due to his young age, was sentenced to 10 to 20 years. Eventually, all three men were released after serving their sentences, but the legend of Hex Hollow endured. The house where Nelson Rehmeyer was murdered still stands, now preserved as a historical site. Paranormal investigators and thrill-seekers flock to the location, claiming to experience ghostly activity, whispers in the night, shadowy figures, and the eerie feeling of being watched. But beyond ghost stories, the Hex Hollow Murder remains a cautionary tale about the power of belief. It serves as a reminder of how deeply ingrained superstitions can shape human actions, sometimes with tragic consequences. Whether you believe in curses or not, one thing is certain. Fear can be just as dangerous as any hex. If you found this story intriguing, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more haunting tales from history. Join us as we continue to uncover the past, one echo at a time. Fact-checked note: the details of the Hex Hollow Murder have been verified through historical records, court documents, and contemporary newspaper reports, including the York Dispatch, the Pennsylvania Dutch Folklore Center archives, and the book Hex by Arthur H. Lewis.